in the woods, all alone, in the middle of the night. Everything, every stick breaking, every shadow is a bear. We were driving up this meandering mountain road on the Tennessee line. It had been over 2 years since Meg and Jance and I went on our first date. We went running out in the trails around Kennesaw Mountain, and we'd fallen over exhausted on a bale of hay and watched the full moon rise in the cosmic ocean, and her blue-gray eyes caught the starlight in them. I'm going to save the rest of that story for me. So our 2-year anniversary had just passed, and many of you may already know that her dad, Big George, had just passed as well. So that weekend, we resolved to spend it in nature. We'd always felt the most connected with each other and the most connected with ourselves. And so we rounded up the kind of people you can bring on a wilderness expedition with 2 hours' notice and headed up to Jacks River Falls. And I know what you're thinking. Hey, that kind of sounds like Matty Faye. It was Matty Faye. Now, Megan and I are passionate outdoors people. I would say enthusiastic outdoors people. But I am not necessarily always the most prepared outdoors people. Shocker, right? One time, we drove 3 hours to North Carolina, hiked 13 miles up, straight up the side of the mountain, and got up to the top only to realize we didn't have any water. Don't worry, we had a ukulele. But this weekend, I was prepared. I had 4 liters of water on my back, as much food as Megan Jance's mom could cram into my bag, and Big George's knife hung on my hip. And we pulled into the trailhead, and we started into the 5 miles towards the waterfall we'd be making camp. And we saw the sun set over the mountains and set the sky on fire over the ancient Appalachians as we marched on past the no camping signs. But time keeps on ticking, and as dusk was setting in, we were passing over this dry riverbed. And then I realized, well, I'd screwed up this time, because I'd forgotten my flashlights. And the only light that we had between the 4 of us was one tiny LED flashlight blinking, as if to tap out in Morse code, please put batteries in me. So I pulled up my back straps, and I grabbed the little light, and I ventured forth into the dark forest. And as I walked, I heard a sort of like a sound. And I was like, it's nothing, I'm gonna keep walking. Sort of sound. I was like, Megan, is that sound that I keep hearing? She's like, nah, I don't hear anything. And then we heard like a Make somebody Google what you're supposed to do with it. Signal. Oh God. Be very still, they can't see it if you don't move. And then Matty reminded us that there are no recorded bear attacks on groups of 3 or more people. And that was good enough for us. And it was dark by the time we could hear the waterfall. And we found a perfect place to pitch camp right under a no camping sign. In our defense, it was a picture of a tent with a red line through it, and we were using hammocks. So I think we were fine. So we set up our fire, which was remarkably easy to do in a drought. We hung our bear bag, admittedly poorly. And we spent the night singing songs around the campfire. We woke up the next morning and we scrambled around on rocks and we splashed around in the waterfall and had the exact kind of weekend we needed to have. But time keeps on ticking. And so soon it was time to hike the 5 miles out of the trail and drive the hour down the meandering mountain road, laughing about all the good times we'd had that weekend. And we pulled into the nearest town and feasted ourselves on the glories of civilization. Chimichangas. Hey, Megan. I gave you your dad's knife when we got off the trail, right? And the stars in her eyes went supernova. And she said, "No, Matt, you did not give me my dad's knife." And we pulled apart the car, but it wasn't there. And I said, "Oh, crap. We must have left it behind when I took a poop." And she said, "No, Matt, you left it behind when you took a poop." And I remembered, that has to be there. And I remember there was like this break in the trees and sort of this incline up through a bramble patch. And then I went over a log, and that's where it is. All I need to do is find a log in the forest. I can go back and get it, I promise. And she's like, "No, Matt, no, it's getting late. And our friends have things to do. We need to go home." But from the back seat, they were like, "Man, if you think you can get it, you should go for it." And I know what you're thinking. This sort of sounds selfish to be like, I'm going to put my needs of redemption over like the actual needs of my friends. But like, not only would she still be mad at me, I would forever be known in that family as the guy that lost her dad's knife taking a poop in the woods. I certainly couldn't have that happen. So we drove the hour back up the meandering mountain road. So, like, just for my own edification, does anyone have any more detailed memories about where I pooped in the woods? Just, no, okay, you can just say no, it's not, okay, fine, sorry. And we pulled into the trailhead and we saw the sun setting over the ancient Appalachians. And this time it wasn't something to marvel at, but a ticking time bomb reminding me of the task at hand. So I did the only thing I could do. I ran. The rhythm of my feet and my breath and my heart fell in together and melded together. The rhythms of my life, keeping my body alive. And I thought just about how alive I am every time my lungs burned and every time my feet felt like stones too heavy to pick up again. By the time dusk was encroaching on us, I'd reached the dry riverbed. And by my remembrance, I had gone too far. So I pulled out my little flashlight and it blinked to life. And I started scanning back along the trail. And as I went up, I found a little breach in the trees. And I pushed my way up through the bramble patch and over the log, and I dug at the crack to see if it was the right spot, and it was definitely the right spot. But there was no knife. So I dug at the leaves, and I picked up the log, and I threw it aside, and I would tear apart the earth with my bare hands there. And then I picked it up, and it was just a knife-shaped piece of black charcoal. It was dark. I failed. I did my best. And I'm just alone in the woods in the middle of the night, exhausted with nothing to show for it. I did my best. And I failed. So I admitted defeat. I stumbled back through the bramble patch and down towards the trail. And there it was. Just sitting up on the leaves. Like some power greater than myself was looking at me and saying, "I got your back." But I didn't have time for that, so I picked up my kissed it and I put it in my pocket. Because I had 5 miles back to run. Need I remind you that in the dark all by yourself, everything is a bear. And I rode that primal fear all the way. My whole world became that little circle of light as I ran down the path. And as I was running, I heard this sort of like, sort of sound. I kept running, okay, I don't have time for this. Sort of sound. And I was like, oh God. And then I heard a sound that was sort of like, Matt! Megan? Matt! Megan! And I'd run up the path, and all 3 of them had come up the trails because, you know, from their perspective, I'd just been alone in the woods for an hour and a half in the dark with a bear. And I walked up to her and I looked her right in the eyes. I said, Megan, I didn't find your dad's knife. But I went to the knife store. I picked up this knife. ninja. Locked eyes, and her gray blue eyes caught the starlight. And I'm going to save the rest of this story for me.